Hey guys, we are live and it's Wednesday morning and we are on episode 40 of Small Business Connections. That amazes me. I started this, I guess, 8 weeks ago now, and we have just had a blast doing it. We've met so many people and I've learned from every single person we've had on. I have learned something, and that's what our goal is, right? Our goal is to constantly be learning. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk to somebody new today. He's going to give us some information. But before I get to that, I'm going to continue to talk about learning because I want to talk to you about the ASMM Digital Campus. It's asmmcampus.com. You can go over there and get a free membership, and that will give you all the free videos we have or all the free courses that we offer. In addition to that, though, you could either buy an individual course or you could subscribe to our ASMM campus. And every time we post something new, every time we bring in a guest teacher, all of those things you would get with your subscription. And there's going to be a lot of information there. I have a lot of teachers coming in to help from across the country who know a lot about digital marketing and can help your small business. A quick reminder to please, if you are watching this on YouTube, hit the little button down there and subscribe. We need 1,000 subscribers. I am just shamelessly plugging this. Please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps us a lot. We want to be able to take this and get it out to so many more people because we think it's important information. So please subscribe, or subscribe to our podcast if you don't have time to sit down and watch videos. So let me quickly introduce you to our guest. We have Brian Loebig from Loebig Inc. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Great. Fantastic.
So I think this was the first thing I said to you the first time we ever talked. I love that you have a cello on your wall behind you, or it's not a cello, it's a violin.
Violin, correct.
Violin on the wall behind you. I love that you have that. So tell us a little bit about what you do, because people might think we are completely, competitors, and we're really more complementary.
One of the primary focuses of my business is to help business and individuals get more visible on the internet. And we can do that through a variety of strategies. Search engine optimization is one of those. Personal branding, SEO, is another kind of niche thing that we do. We also develop, websites, do some social media stuff like you, and the Google ads, that kind of online marketing.
Yeah, you've got a really good agency over there, and you're in Montgomery County as well now.
Correct.
Our agency is in Anne Arundel County. You're in Montgomery County, Maryland. And you do business across the country as well.
Yes. So I'm originally from Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I've got some clients there. I'm on a nonprofit board of directors actually in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And
what kind of nonprofit?
It is called Birds of a Feather. And so in my first life, I used to be an alcohol and drug counselor. And so I'm on the board of directors for that group. And basically the purpose of it is to help offenders with reentry. They're coming out of prison and jail and helping them transition back into communities.
Oh, that's great. I love that you do that. And I love that I learned that. Something new I didn't know about you. So that was nice. We have not scheduled a one-to-one yet. We're going to have to do that. So, all right, let's go ahead. We're going to jump right in because there is something people are so afraid of, and it's SEO. So can you explain SEO to us in real English that people will understand?
Well, first of all, you need to know that it's an acronym. You need to know what that means. So the SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And so when we talk about search engines, we're really talking about Google. 90% of all search traffic in the world happens through that platform. If you optimize for Google, you're going to be optimizing for every other search platform like Bing, Yahoo, and those other ones. And so search engine optimization is helping you optimize or put your website, as an example, in the best position to show up on page 1 of Google for keyword searches. So if you are a marketing strategist, you want your website to show up on page 1 locally for your business when somebody's typing in marketing strategy, like maybe marketing strategy Silver Spring, marketing strategy,
right.
Washington, D.C., that kind of thing.
So my son said something, my 13-year-old, I have a 13-year-old, and he said to me the other day, so you do know that if it's on page 2, it doesn't exist, right?
The best place to hide a dead body is on page 2 of Google.
That's a great way to say it. Yeah. When you have a 13-year-old who can tell you that, when you have a 13-year-old who can say to you, yeah, you don't exist unless you're on page 1. you know that's something that's important. We've got to think about it. So before we jump into, you have a niche that I want to talk about because it's something I've never heard anybody really doing before. Let's start with, what is the difference between personal branding and corporate branding, and why does it matter?
Well, and even more specific, what difference between personal branding SEO and corporate branding SEO?
Yeah, exactly.
Personal branding, search engine optimization is something I started to do when I had people coming to me and asking, how do I get myself more visible on the internet? And I don't have a website. All traditional search engine optimization strategies have focused on getting your website on page 1 of Google. But there's a lot of people, like people who work for companies, or a lot of times realtors, they don't have their own website. They might have a little landing page on a corporate website, but they don't even have control over that. Like financial advisors, if they're working for a large company, are in the same position. They don't have a website that they can promote. And so then the key is, how do you get yourself more visible on the internet when you don't have a website? And so that's where personal branding SEO comes in. And so really, personal branding SEO is helping you as a person become more visible on the internet. And we specifically talk about how to do that when you don't have a website. That's kind of the concept.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question, and this is personal for me. My name's Ann Brennan. Mm-hmm. Can you even guess how many Ann Brennans there are in the world? It's Mary's mother was Ann, and yep. Last name is Brennan, so Irish. So there are a lot of Catholics in the world with the name Ann Brennan. Yep. How in the world do you rank for that? And by the way, Steve Jobs' love child, the mother was Ann Brennan. Okay. So yeah, fantastic, right?
Yeah. Well, if there's Ann Brennans that have a Wikipedia page, they're going to be outranking you pretty for the life of their name. So right. What you do in that case then is you want to attach your name to your profession, your name to the type of service you do. So Ann Brennan marketing or Ann Brennan social media is then what you're going to want to try to rank for. You do want your name to show up potentially for just the short, that would be like a short tail keyword, we call it, Ann Brennan.
Right.
There's thousands of them. And so you can actually be competitive even with your name, even if there's thousands of others, by having a very focused personal branding SEO strategy in place.
Right. So can you talk a little bit about, let's go back to, I've got banners over here on purpose. Talk about how you work with people. How do they come to you, first of all? What do you do for them? And is the whole goal to get them on the first page? Or is there something more that you're working on with when you talk about SEO and personal branding, or period, when you're talking about working with an individual?
It's very diverse. Depends on the person. I just had somebody call me 2 weeks ago. They found me through a Google search. Actually, I think they found my Craigslist profile and asked me about how to get their daughter, who is a kind of a new graduate of Cambridge University, trying to get her more visible on the internet for some of the research and things that she's been doing. Again, she doesn't have a website. And so we talk about what the goals are, what is the purpose behind her wanting to become more visible. And then we talk about all the different ways you can show up on the internet that have nothing to do with a website. And so the first and most obvious thing we talk about is social media. What are all the social media platforms, those 2.0 platforms that you can create and have personal control over, that especially that don't cost any money? So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Alignable. There's just a multitude of social media platforms that you can jump into, create, optimize, create a branding presence that's consistent across those, and then start to populate that information with the things you want to be known for. And so social media is like the first kind of a arm of a personal branding approach to SEO. And you want to focus on, if you can't do everything all at once, you want to focus on the social media platforms that are going to be most relevant to your customers or the people that you're trying to be seen by, right? The second major group, or the second major platform actually, and sometimes it might be first, depending on your business, is Google My Business. So Google has Google has renamed that platform like a half a dozen times over the years, calling it Google Places for Business. They used to have a thing called Google Plus, that went away. Now it's Google My Business. And that's I consider that more important than a website, actually, when you're first starting off in a business, because 50% of search traffic now does not leave the Google platform. When somebody's searching for something on Google, they get the answer there and they leave. And so Google My Business is your opportunity to have a business profile or a personal branding profile about yourself on that platform. And so that's really key. So social media, Google My Business in particular. And then third, there's like 3 or 4 other things, but next would be like local directories like Bing, Yelp, Angie's List, Yahoo Local, Foursquare, Nextdoor.com. There's a whole bunch of different directories that have really high search volume, high search value. And then there's niche directories, depending on what your specific business is. Like, for example, House would be for the home services industries. Avo would be for lawyers. Psychology Today is the single best platform that every therapist and psychologist needs to be on, even though it's a paid.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I want to go back and talk about one of the things that you just said about Google My Business. You said they don't leave there, right? They start there, they find you, and then they don't go on to anywhere else. Mm-hmm. But one of the best things about that is your phone number's there.
Yes.
And or your directions are there. Or if you do have a website, your website is there, right? And they can click right through. It is so valuable. And we talked about this recently. I went out to Social Media Marketing World in San Diego, and I was absolutely shocked by the fact that nobody talked about Google My Business as a social media platform, because that's really what it is. It's really something that we as small business owners, I don't care what I'm talking about. It's the first thing I mention whenever I am speaking on the stage. And if they want me to talk about social media, the first thing I mention is Google, because most people aren't doing it, and it is a huge place to be.
Absolutely.
So, all right. I want to talk about building relationships, because I'm going to kind of spill the beans first about how we know each other.
Okay.
We know each other through BNI. I joined your group. I probably joined your group because of you, honestly, because you're the president. You run a great group. Yeah, there you go. You run a great group. But what I loved is that you build relationships, and not just in BNI, everywhere. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the things you do to do that?
I build relationships through the natural kind of things that I'm involved in. And so, for example, I play bluegrass music. I used to be in a bluegrass band. And so there's lots of opportunities for me to do jam sessions. I actually ran a live music open mic at a place in Columbia called Root Studio for a couple of years, until they recently closed down, partially due to the pandemic, I would say. I've got lots of networking kind of connections there. I run a group called LinkedIn Local Montgomery County. So LinkedIn Local has promoted these groups all across the world to help connect people behind the profiles. And so that's another group that I've kind of connected with and organized in Montgomery County, Maryland here. Another one would be I started riding Harley Davidson motorcycles with my wife, and not in the not too distant past. And so I've gotten involved with the local Harley owners groups, and they have monthly meetings and rider kind of things. And so I've actually gotten business. Each one of those things I've got involved in, I've gotten business out of. And it's not like I'm going there to try to get business, but you just create those natural connections. You let people know what you do. You invite them to your business networking meeting. They can see what you do and see your value. And then a lot of them end up hiring you.
Absolutely. I don't think we've talked about this before, but I run something, and it happened very similarly to what you're saying about the LinkedIn Local. I went to, Facebook did a summit here in Baltimore. I went to it, and there was a group there called She Means Business. And so they said, you should start a civic dinner, and we'll give you the questions that you ask. You have the civic dinner, you invite women to it. And it's not networking. It's really just meant to have conversation, right? And I will be honest with you, the first one was a she woman men haters club. I couldn't stand the questions were all about how did men screw you over? And I thought, I love men. I haven't thought that many of them have done anything wrong. So it didn't like that, but we have evolved, and it's become a group where every time we meet, we have a different theme. So who inspires you? So maybe one is inspiration, and the next is motivation, and maybe one is gratitude. But it's this group where we built truly relationships, and we don't even talk about our businesses, but the number of leads that I have gotten from there, the number of referrals that I have gotten from that group are pretty amazing, because you build a real relationship with somebody.
You know, another example of a couple of places I've really built relationships. I haven't really built relationships on this one, but I went to a link. It's called Link Chesapeake. Just went to that last night for the first time. Not the group you're involved in. You introduced me to a guy named Kurt Jackson, and he kind of facilitates that group. Able Spark is his company, right? And very interesting. So they went totally online. I guess they used to meet in person, but he's did an amazing job with how to use Zoom and do the breakout groups. And that was a really great experience. And I actually got somebody following up with me for SEO services.
That's great.
The other thing that's going online because of the pandemic is a group called C4networking.com, like the letter C, the number 4. That's that's a Silver Spring based group, although they have another kind of group that meets up in Howard County, but again, everything's online. And that group is run by a woman named Natasha Whedon and her husband Rick, and they have done an amazing job of putting together that networking group. It's kind of free to come and meet with people. Totally different format from the Link Chesapeake, where there's everyone is in the group talking together, whereas Link Chesapeake is more in the smaller group, networking, but all kinds of interesting opportunities to connect and build relationships.
Right. Well, and that's a good point, because now I think people think, oh, well, I don't have to network because, or maybe I'm getting out of networking because I don't, the networking groups aren't meeting, but so many of them have gone online. So before we come on to our next subject, I do want to bring somebody. James Bonato asked, do you have a preferred social media outlet for a small business person? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, which are the best?
I would reverse that order. So I'd put Google first. So as a small business, you want to get your business on Google My Business, create that profile, and then treat it like a social media. You can post content on there. You can post events, upload pictures. James, I believe James is a videographer. It looks like he's holding a video camera in his picture there. So you should upload video directly to that platform, although it can only be for a minute. It can only be 1 minute video, and it's got to be kind of optimized. So you can't have this high resolution 4K video on there. You've got to slim it down to make it load quickly on Google, but that'd be number 1.
Yeah, that's me too. And then, one you didn't mention, James, is LinkedIn. If you're a small business person, right? You own a small business, you really should be on LinkedIn. It's a great opportunity. And then I have to tell you, I really am a fan of the articles. I think create articles on there, because it does give you people pay attention to it. It gives you credibility to have that on there. You become the expert in your field. And actually, speaking of experts in the field, you do a lot of speaking. And we didn't talk about this before we came on, so I'm sorry if I throw you under the bus here, but you do a lot of speaking.
Yes.
And why do you do that? Why is that important?
Because it builds my business. Simple answer. Like, I found the more speaking I do, the more business I get. I have a team of 15 people that work for me. And I found that the best way to grow my business is not to do the work, but to actually talk about the work. It's like I go out and do speaking events. So I was very excited that you invited me on your podcast, because this is exactly what I need to be doing as a business owner. And I would say, if you're a business owner, this is what you need to be doing as well. You need to be getting out in front of people. You need to be connecting with influencers like Ann, and asking to participate in those opportunities to speak to people, because it's about familiarity and name recognition. You don't know how many people have told me, I've seen you on this, I saw you on here. You seem to be connected to everybody, and then they come out, they reach out and ask for, support. Right.
Well, and what somebody said to me, if you're the speaker, you're the expert in the room. You're on the stage. So I did a presentation, I guess it was about 1.5 years ago, and there were only, I think, 15 women in the room. Small presentation, right? But 3 of them were social media marketing experts. This was their business. And I was on the stage. so I walked away with business from that meeting because I was the expert on the stage. It matters. You need to be in front of people that way.
And it doesn't matter if you're in front of 2 people, you're in front of 1,000, because if you just connect with that one person, that can lead to unbelievable opportunities. The first person that I was referred, when I joined this BNI thing, like 6 years ago now, the first person that I was referred to was the owner of Fixation Marketing, which is now relocated to Northern Virginia. But that became my single biggest client for the first 3 years of my business here in Maryland, with that one introduction when I first joined BNI.
Well, and so let's go in and talk about BNI, but I'm so sorry, I'm going to usurp it because I want to kind of follow on what you just said.
Sure.
When I joined my first BNI, it was out in Millersville, Maryland. And as I was pulling into the parking lot that morning, I got a text from NASA, and they said, and it was hey, you've been accepted to do a NASA social. So you're going to get to go and see this rocket launch on Wallops Island, which, by the way, I didn't even know where Wallops Island was. And I went in my first BNI meeting. I knew nothing about it. I knew I was supposed to give a 30-second spiel about myself. And I got up to do it. And I said, I know I should tell you about my business, but I'm going to go see a rocket launch. And that's all I could say. I'm like, I'm going to go see a rocket launch, and I get to tweet about it and do it on Facebook. And I'm going to do this NASA social. I'm so excited. And I walked out of there, and the next, like within minutes, I got a phone call from a guy who was also visiting the group, who said, can you do my social media marketing? And I only had 2 clients at the time. He was my third, but he had a $5 million business, and he just handed me a social media. It was such a good learning lesson that it's not always about talking about yourself in a salesy way. It's about being who you are. Yeah, right.
Absolutely. And that, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I found the most business I get is not when I'm asking for it or looking for it. It's really when I'm promoting somebody else, or when I'm just talking about the things I'm involved in. I see in the chat over here in the live comments, Nahid Oberfeld is in the comments listening on Facebook, I think.
Yeah. She says she loves learning how to be on page 1 of Google. So actually, she's going to be on, I think I should remember the date. I think it's next Wednesday.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So she's from our group as well.
Yep.
I think that's the direction you were going in. So you're the president of our BNI. Can you say a little bit about what BNI is? And you can actually do the purpose and overview probably. What is the purpose and overview of BNI? Why do people join it?
Well, people really join it to try to grow their business. BNI is considered network relationship marketing. If you get most of your business, or if a key part of your business is through word of mouth referrals, this is kind of word of mouth on steroids. Because when you get involved with a business, BNI is like a global organization. There's almost 10,000 chapters across the United States. It's the single largest professional networking group in the world. It's very well established. One of the things that I've been in awe about with BNI as a networking group is that when this pandemic hit, in the course of 1 week, they brought all these BNI chapters were all face-to-face. I mean, it was a strong culture of everything. Nothing was online. You weren't able to join. There was no online anything prior to the pandemic. In the course of 1 week, BNI Global bought 10,000 licenses to Zoom, and everybody in the world in all these chapters went online in the course of a week, and they created manuals, they created guidelines, they created slide presentations to really, really maximize and continue this process of building our businesses with our members through an online media. So it's a very flexible organization, even though it's very large, and it's what's taken me from a solo entrepreneur back in 2010, just myself building websites and doing a couple of social media things, to I have a team of 15 people working for me now. I've doubled the size of my business every year. The first 4 years of my business, I doubled every year in revenue, and I have 15 people working for me, and it just continues to grow.
Yeah. Well, and it's based off of something that I love, which is, and actually this is so up your alley. It's based off of giver's gain, right? If you help other people, good things will come your way. And it's not necessarily, I think the mistake people make is thinking that, oh, I have to go in, I have to give Brian a referral. And then Brian is in turn going to turn around and give me a referral. And that's not necessarily how it works. Right? You build relationships, you do something, somebody else does something for you, and you build real relationships. And I think the reason I wanted to talk to you about this is that so often people come to you and they come to me and they come to other people like us and they're like, here, build my business. And they hand it over like that's all that's going to build their business. And I see this a lot with really small businesses. They think, oh, okay, well, now I'm going to be on social media and everything's going to be great and I never have to sell again.
Yeah. I'm going to create a Google advertising account. I'm going to do Google AdWords, and then that'll solve all my business problems and needs. All my customers.
Exactly. Right. But it's not. You have to build, no matter who you are, you have to build relationships. And I think that goes, people, it's not just size. You know, you and I, our businesses have both grown. We're in a good place and we're still out there networking. We're still out there building it. We're still out there being the face, right? But that's the case if my husband works with General Dynamics. He works with a really big company. The CEO there is not sitting at home doing, reading her book or doing whatever she wants to do. She's out meeting people because it matters who you meet.
Exactly.
So I think that's something that people need to remember. And it's cool because we've got Robin is here. I think you were talking about her from C4 Networking. We've got Kurt here from Lincoln Out Plus and Link Chesapeake. It's a big deal because these are people who are creating things for you to go out and become something more than just a business. You become, these days, you have to be a person because people don't buy anymore. People aren't buying from companies. They're buying from people.
Yeah, which is why even if you have a good sized company, you really want to give your employees that opportunity of building their own personal brand to help represent your business brand.
Right. So actually, can you talk a little bit about that? Do you do any work with people on doing, because everybody thinks about external marketing, right? Well, I want to talk about we want to talk about our business out to all those people, but what about internal marketing? How can you use these tools and social media and all of this on your internal marketing?
It's actually one of the first and lowest hanging fruit kind of possibilities for marketing is getting your own team optimized and active on these different platforms and getting them visible. If you have one of the things I did in the early days with Fixation Marketing is I actually did internal training and marketing with that marketing firm and getting all their staff having consistent profiles on LinkedIn, making sure it seems basic, but half the staff it was a good sized staff, maybe 20 plus staff members, half of them didn't have their personal LinkedIn profile connected to the business. And so step one, put it on your profile that I'm working at this company and have it properly linked so the logo shows up on your LinkedIn profile. That's one of the quickest ways to get visibility on LinkedIn is by adding a new job or adding a new thing you're involved in, experience, because everybody in your network sees that. LinkedIn makes that a really high algorithm. So everyone in your network sees that you have a new position. So that's really the first place to start. And then it's like optimizing those profiles, having even staff members guest blog for your own company. One of the things we did with LinkedIn with Fixation was we had each of the staff people take turns every month doing a blog article on their level of their area of expertise. Everyone in the company has their own area of expertise. Give them their opportunity to write blog articles about themselves, about what they do, and then promote that. That's one of the things my team is doing right now, actually. You'll see most of my recent blogs that Robin is actually on my team. She helps edit all these articles. We interview each other about what are the services we provide, what are our interests, what are our personal interests, and that really creates a lot of visibility and goodwill and connection, with for your corporate brand.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. It's actually, I'm going to mention something else that I just remembered. The thing about social media is they're constantly adding things. Have you noticed in the past couple of weeks, and maybe even the past week, that LinkedIn added this new thing for your company page that you post something and it gives you a little button and it says, tell your employees.
I did not see that.
It's new. It's brand new. And it says, tell your employees. And so I click it and all of my employees get a notification that we've just posted something that I care about, which means they should care about it. Right. It's a very cool little tool. So paying attention, and it's hard if it's actually, I think, one of the best reasons to hire a digital marketing agency is you can't keep up with it all. You're keeping up with your business. So let somebody else keep up with it. And, LinkedIn added events a few weeks ago. They hadn't had events. You couldn't put events on there, and now they can. But you wouldn't know that if you were just a company out there selling shoes, right? That's not your expertise.
That's why I have my team taking care of most of our social media and blogs and posting, is that they're the ones kind of out there, promoting. So I can focus on the relationships and networking, and they can focus on the internal, promotions and development process.
Oh, Brian, we're going to go over it because I'm going to tell you something. That's something that I literally just learned, and everybody knows I'm a little bit of a control freak. So I've done a really good job of letting Anastasia run with a lot of things. But this week I had that conversation, and I said, I tell all my people to hire out for what they're good at, right? Or what they're not good at. Let other people do it. And at the same time, I haven't been trusting my team to run with our social media. They've been doing everybody else's, but I haven't given them ours. I'm like, that's mine. That's my baby. I'll do it. And I let go of it this week. So even if your specialty is a specific thing, make sure somebody else is doing that thing for you, because you need to be running your business.
Exactly. That's a lot of give up. You've been doing it for the whole time.
Yeah. Because it's my baby. This is my baby. So, and they are perfectly capable. They run all of my clients' work. So why haven't I given them mine? And this week I said, part of why we were able to create Small Business Connections was because I focused on building my business to do that. Right. But had somebody else not been taking some of the other things, I couldn't have done that. So it is important that you pay attention to, even if it's your specialty, that you're letting somebody else in to help you with these things. So that's my piece of advice for the day. What's your piece of advice before we go for everybody out there?
I guess I would say go either create your Google My Business profile or log in there and update your COVID-19 notice. So one of the things that Google just came out with during this pandemic is they created globally on every business profile, they've created this COVID-19 update, and they prioritize it to be the first thing you see right under your address. And so that's getting a lot of visibility. Put a COVID-19 update and link to your website, and actually ideally link to the COVID-19 page on your website that talks about what you're doing to serve people in this pandemic. We've found that just by doing that simple thing has generated a massive amount of traffic and visibility from Google My Business to the web page, and that web page is some clients, that web page is getting more visibility than the home page. So it's so if you don't do that, it'll say check with the business to see if they're still open or if they're still in business. And so you want to let people know, yes, we're in business, and this is how we are serving people. Right,
absolutely. Yeah, that was great advice. And to build on that, if you don't know your Google My Business password and you've got somebody who does, please get it yourself as well, because it is so easy for somebody, especially if it's somebody who's working with you or somebody who's working even at an agency. We tell people, I have it, I'm in charge, I've got it, I'm going to take care of it. But you should be paying attention as a business owner that you have that information, because it is dangerous not to. I'm going to check comments one more time before we leave. Nahid says, thanks to both of you. It's clear that both of you are experts, and I've worked a lot with Brian and really appreciate, and I'm really appreciative. So I absolutely love Nahid. She's wonderful. And I missed your speech this morning because I had a speaking engagement ahead of time, so I missed that. But Ethan said it was wonderful because Ethan went to my place. So, all right, let's talk about what's coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow we have calls marketing. We're going to talk about why it's important that not just for your business, but for your employees, that you are involved with the cause and how you can use that to market your business. So stay tuned for that. Brian, this was really fun. I knew it was going to be. It's always nice to meet somebody new, but you are, I think you're the male equivalent of my crazy, always doing 100 things. So it's great to talk to you. You're really a lot of fun.
He's in a podcast.
Exactly. There you go. So that's a dad joke, Brian. That's not such a great thing. All right. And Kurt Jackson said he loves working with me and looks forward to working with you. It's good. It's really exciting to have people we can work with together. So, all right, everybody, please take care. Please subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe to the podcast. This will be up hopefully this afternoon. Whitney's pretty good about getting it up. So we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.